allocate every adult a single tradable permit to have a child. And I call upon Jen Zen to open the case that stands in his name. Also, beware of the size of the auditorium, you may need to speak up. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, we believe it is morally abhorrent for a government to willingly allow a child to be raised when they know that the person raising the child is willing to trade his child's right to existence for money. We believe that it is extremely morally abhorrent for the government to allow that form of things that happens within status quo. But before that, let's talk about what we are proposing. We propose that each and every single person, regardless of the amount of children they have within status quo, will receive one permit. And that permit is tradable between people. There will be markets to trade it. There probably will be a market rate. And we believe that this will, in effect, create a form of trade, right? We also believe that to have a new child, right, you have to have that permit. And we believe that this is the way to curb overpopulation, especially in many countries in Asia, such as China and India, which have rampant overpopulation problems. They have to come up here and tell us how status quo or any form of mechanism will curb that as well. But we believe that our model is the best way to curb it. So, let's firstly talk about a few tenets about my policy, right? Obviously, we'll only give it to adults with no child abuse records, no criminal records or violent behavior, and no mental illnesses, that sort of thing, right? So that's clear that. Yeah, sure.
Do you have to apply for a permit?
No, we will give each and every single adult that permit within status quo, regardless of how many children they already have. Okay, now my first point for today is about overpopulation, because we believe that this is an extremely bad problem, and it is extremely bad for the future generation, Mr. Speaker, because we argue that the quality of life of the future generation is now in jeopardy. Why? Because we argue that in blooming countries, especially in Asia, there is not a sufficient amount of jobs for the newer generations, and even if there is, these jobs are extremely underpaid. For example, we see examples in China where the factories pay basically like 5 USD per month, right, to these workers so that they can live on milk every day. We believe that that's what's happening towards the job industry within many Asian countries. And we believe that this is extremely harmful towards the quality of life for even the current generation, right? And if we see the current generation's overpopulation happening now, imagine what it's like to have a continuous overpopulation within the next decade or so. We believe that the problem will only become more rampant within these countries, because we believe that a lot of these countries cannot grow as fast to maintain the population upkeep. Because we now see there was a lot of boom about how China will be the next superpower, right? But that has been going on for years, and China still hasn't even reached first world status. We believe that in this scenario, a lot of the growth is slow, and what you do now is you create a generation that will never be able to taste growth of China, and instead you increase the amount of people looking for jobs, and you decrease the wages, you decrease the quality of life for these people, and you also decrease the space that they take and the amount of resources that they are able to each take within that country, right? And we believe that it's extremely harmful towards the next generation, because in this generation, because we believe that the generation growing up in misery is not a good alternative towards a generation that can grow up and prosper, and actually prosper within their own country. We fight for the generation that prospers, even though, yes, in quantity they may be small, but in quality we believe we win this side of the debate. Now, my second point for today is about family planning, and I'll go into the micro scale of this debate, right? Because what will happen when this policy is put in? because we believe that, yes, we concede that the poor will possibly have to sell off their permits towards the rich, right? But we believe that this is good, because we believe that the reparation of money towards the loss of the rights of the poor is justified. Why? Because the transfer of money from the rich to the poor is good, because now the poor will have investment money, right? They will have a form of capital to get rid of their current status within status quo. And we believe that financial stability is extremely important when you talk about raising a child. You need financial stability in order to create a child that creates in a loving environment, right? To give him as much opportunities as is available. But before I go on, yes.
So what happens if I have a child anyways in spite of not having a permit?
Look, if that happens, we will obviously fine you. We will obviously have some form of repercussions on you. We may even jail you, right? But that's up to the specific governments within that country to do. Contingent on the law and contingent on how bad they see that form of unlawful activity is. So, moving on. I talked to you about how the poor will be able to get investment money and get capitals, right? We also believe, secondly, that the principle is that if the poor is willing to trade that permit for money, we believe that the government should not allow a child to be raised by that very same person. Because you are basically trading off your child's life for money, Mr. Speaker, and these are the very people who would get children under your policy, under your status quo. And we believe that it is extremely harmful when you allow these people to actually have children at the end of the day before they have financial stability. Because we believe that financial stability is the best way for a child to actually grow up. So what have I told you today? We've told you about the problem of overpopulation and how it harms the future generation in general, right? We talk on the macro scale. And we then talk about family planning and what happens within each family unit and how a child is best raised. Because of these two, because of all those reasons, we believe that this motion should stand. Thank you.